Far to the east, beyond the Bone Mountains and north of the Jade Sea, is the Golden Empire of Yi Ti, a territory once described as the land of 1,000 gods and 100 princes, ruled by one god emperor. This large and ancient territory borders the plains of the Jogos Nhai and the Bleeding Sea to the north, the Mountains of Morn to the east, the Shadowlands and Jade Sea to the south, and the Bone Mountains as well as the Great Sand Sea to the west. While the exact origins of the Golden Empire are unknown, with much of their history shrouded in myth and legend, stories say that before Yi Ti, there was the Great Empire of the Dawn, founded by a deity known as the God on Earth, son of the Lion of Night and Maiden Maid of Light. This mythical figure ruled for 10,000 years before passing the crown to his eldest son, who would come to be known as the Pearl Emperor. Though the Great Empire would remain dominant for many more years, they would grow corrupt and violent with each succeeding generation, leading to their eventual downfall under the reign of the Amethyst Empress, who was betrayed by her brother, crowning himself the Bloodstone Emperor. Legends say he practiced the dark arts, took a tiger woman as his wife, ate the flesh of men, practiced necromancy, and worshipped a black stone fallen from the sky. According to tradition, his corruption caused the Maiden Maid of Light to turn her back on the world, leading to the long night when the Lion of Night came forth to punish the realms of men for their wickedness. The demon armies of their vengeful god caused great devastation until a hero emerged, wielding the sword Lightbringer, to lead the armies of men, driving back the demon armies and restoring light to the world. Legends say the 5 forts of Yi Ti, massive black stone military fortresses, each able to house 10,000 soldiers, were built by the Pearl Emperor to protect the empire from the demon armies of the Lion of Night. However, others believe it was built for the Long Night specifically, and others still believe the smooth black stone suggests Valyrian origins, or a connection to other oily black stone constructions around the world, such as the Sea Stone Chair of the Iron Islands, the High Tower Foundation of Old Town, the buildings of Ashai, the buildings of the ruined city of Yin in Sothorios, and many others. When at last the long night ended, the great empire of the Dawn was no more. Having suffered under such terrible devastation for so many years, the empire collapsed and would come to be replaced by the Golden Empire of Yi Ti. For thousands of years, Yi Ti would thrive as a superpower of the Far East, ruled by a series of dynastic god emperors, such as Mengo Quen, the third Jade Green Emperor, also called the Glittering God, who had everything in his palace, including floors, walls, and even chamber pots, crafted from gold. Or the 9 eunuchs, known as the Pearl White Emperors, who allowed themselves to be castrated upon ascending to the throne, so they might devote themselves entirely to the empire. The eunuch emperors gave Yi Ti 130 years of peace and prosperity, and built one of the greatest road systems in the world. There was also Har Loi, the first Grey Emperor, whose throne was a saddle, because he spent his entire reign riding from one battle to another. 11 dynastic families would come to rule Yi Ti, often engaging in civil war to attain power. On at least 4 occasions, the empire was so devastated by internal power struggles, Yi Ti would fracture into hundreds of petty kingdoms, sometimes for decades, until a new emperor could once again unite them. One method of inspiring loyalty and camaraderie among the people was their near-constant state of war with the Jogos Nhai raiders of the north. These largely nomadic, Zorse-riding warriors often raided Yi Ti's northern cities, prompting emperors to send armies beyond their borders to bring the nomads into submission. Yet the guerrilla-style tactics of the raiders, coupled with their knowledge of the terrain, often led to disaster for imperial forces. The most prominent example would be the 43rd Scarlet Emperor Lo Bu, who raised an army of 300,000 warriors traveling north to slaughter the enemy. They spared no one as the army rampaged across the plains of the Jogos Nhai, with some saying up to 1 million nomads were killed in the purge. Yet even so, they could not be defeated. Instead of continuing to fight back against the empire, the Jogos Nhai scattered and refused to engage them. As a result, Emperor Lo Bu was forced to split his grand army into 13 separate forces, sending them in every direction to complete the genocide against their enemy. However, this would prove their undoing, as a warrior woman known to history as Jatar Zai would unite the remnants of the Jogos Nhai clans, and over the course of 2 years, isolated each of the 13 armies, cutting off their food and water supplies, and using the terrain to trap them in hostile areas, destroying each of the armies one by one until finally attacking Emperor Lo Bu's personal host, slaughtering every man. Jatar Zai would then dip the emperor's skull in gold, using it as a drinking cup and passing it through the generations to future leaders of the Jogos Nhai. Currently, the Azur dynasty rules under Emperor Bu Gai in the city of Yin. However, in modern times, the power of the emperor has waned, and while the many princes of the empire are technically his subjects, the emperor has no practical authority outside of his city of residence. In addition, Bugai's power has been challenged by two rival claimants to the throne. General Pol Ko has declared himself the first Orange Emperor and is currently holding Traitor Town as his capital, while a sorcerer lord, calling himself the 69th Yellow Emperor, has formed a government in exile, taking over the far eastern city of Carcosa. To the south of the Great Empire is the island of Leng, home to the native Lengi, a beautiful, tall race with large yellow eyes. They ruled the island for many years, worshipping the Old Ones, subterranean gods who sometimes instructed them to massacre all foreigners on the island. As a result of their massacres, the 6th Sea Green Emperor, Jar Har, invaded and colonized the island. Over time, the Lengi migrated to the southern third of the island, while migrants inhabited the northern 2/3. Roughly 400 years ago, the people of Leng rebelled against the Golden Empire and declared their independence. To preserve the peace, the descendants of Yi Ti returned power to the God Empress of the Lengi, crowning Kiara the Great, who established a tradition of taking two husbands, one of Yi Ti descent and the other of native Lengi. Over the many years, some Westerosi travelers, such as Corlys Velaryon, visited Yi Ti, acquiring great wealth during his voyage that would make House Velaryon the richest house in Westeros for a time. And Lomas Longstrider, who traveled to Yi Ti and Leng, marveling at the advanced culture and returning to Westeros with fanciful tales, telling of the many strange and wondrous things he encountered during his journey. A special thanks to all those who have contributed to CivilizationEx. You make these videos possible, and I am eternally grateful for your support. If you would like to help CivilizationEx and want a say in the future content of this channel, click on the Patreon link in the description box below, and pledge any amount you'd like on a monthly basis. Or if you would prefer to make a single donation, you can use the PayPal link, also in the description below. And please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.